Yeah, thank you. So my project this year, for some of you that know me, I'm a CIO-DTC, but this year I actually picked up a new role as College Career Navigator. And going from that, and actually I also taught high school math, and having to teach grades K through 12, and especially the smaller kids, I had to do a lot of planning and thinking about what could I do to actually help these students gain knowledge in tech, because I'm a big believer in technology will help produce our future. So when I started out thinking, coding, okay, great. Then we started thinking, let's see, there's some other little programs like Microsoft, but then I'm also a Google trainer. And so I'd always had very high expectations for our school, or our teachers especially, because we want to become a Google certified school. And we're pretty close to it. We're about 90%. Our staff is actually Google certified. And so what I thought was it would be really great if we could actually get students to start getting this type of certification, because we offered the MOS certification, the Microsoft one. And so unfortunately, at the time, Google only did level 1 teacher certification and level 2. And really it didn't fit what the students were needing. I looked on the Google website earlier this year and I noticed that, hey, there's a possibility that G Suite for students was available. So I kept looking into it, and of course when our grants came about, I said, well, maybe it'd be a great opportunity for our kids. The downside is it has to be at least 13 years or older. So it's my middle school cohort that I'm going to be actually looking at and working with those students. And we've actually started doing the process of doing that. The one thing that was a real difference is that if you do level 1 certification, it's $10 a person. Students, it's $75. So there's a cost, and that again is the grant, but you can actually get an educational discount of $37, which is really good because that helps. So, and again, planning this, I looked at my 8th grade because those kids will probably be 13 years older. And so I've started working with them in my cohort. And so what we've done so far is we've actually done some Drive, and we've done docs, and we've done slides, but we're also combining that with college and career readiness. So, give you a little breakdown of what Google certification for students is. It's a little different than the one for educators. Number one, it's only a 2-hour test instead of a 3-hour test. It's also broken into multiple choice and performance event, which is the same. The big difference though is that the students only have 6 main topics that they have to focus on. One of them being Drive. That is a big thing. That's what I teach my students whenever I work with them. Drive is the big thing because that's my storage house. It's my location to almost any program that Google has. The second one, of course, is Gmail. Now, we are a Microsoft district, but we'll work around those things. But it's really helpful for the kids because they already know Gmail. There's some things they may not know, but we'll talk about and do in class. And then you have Google Hangouts, and then there are a couple more, which is Docs, Slides, and Sheets. Now, most kids have used either Microsoft Word or Docs pretty heavily, and they've used PowerPoint for sure. The one they haven't used is kind of Slides, and the big one, and I hate to say it for education, especially in mathematics, and they should use it, is Sheets, because it is a spreadsheet program. 26 years ago, I started with spreadsheets. That's the name of the program. I worked with it, and as my colleagues at that time did their grades in the old grade book, I could do my grades in less than 5 minutes. I'm done with the whole class, or all 6 periods that I had, versus them taking all day to do. So the programs haven't changed that much. They just make themselves look better. My big belief is it doesn't matter if you're Microsoft or you're Google, because my boys who went to the UK had the choice. Do I want to have a Google account or a Microsoft account? You should be fluent in both, and should be able to pick up any device and be able to look at it and think about how I can use it effectively. And so what we've been doing, like I said, we've been using Zello, which is our IOP, and students have been looking at careers, and they've been taking those careers and placing those into slides and building presentations for other students to learn about those. The one big thing that I want to tell you, and of course you may already know this, is that Google is really teacher-friendly, but it's also student-friendly. Microsoft is a powerhouse. It really is. It is a powerhouse for the tech. And it's a great device. But when it comes down to it, the things that we have to do in high school, unless you're going for those certification levels in Microsoft, you can do basically in Google. But I do like the collaboration piece. For instance, the students that actually build Word doc, or in this case docs, can collaborate with other peers by doing a simple little share between each other. My big thing is, and I hope by the end of the year, before they take the assessment, here's a kind of project. Students come up and they always want to do a survey. They take paper around, they do surveys, and that's Google Forms. It's outside those 6, but it's still a strong player. Once they do the forms, they can take that data, it basically gets pushed into sheets. Well, that sheet data then can be made graphs and other things that they can actually then import into Docs, which is a living document because you link live data. So if your form changes the data, it changes in the spreadsheet, and then in your document, if you linked it live, it changes it there. So it's no longer, oh, this data's stale, it's actually a living document. But you could also do it in presentations too, such as slides. And so you are giving basically a wealth of tools that cost you nothing. And that's really the big thing for me. Here's a breakdown of what happens. You, the school, become the facilitator. You have an administrator who actually works with a proctor. The proctor, and actually the administrator would do a PO to purchase the exams, which they get tokens, which is just a little code for the students to come in, take the assessment. Once the facilitator or proctor, and you do have to do some things, it's a little different than the standard teacher taking it because it has to be in a classroom setting and have that proctor. And you also have to install a proctor software tool on the Chromebooks. So it's no longer, oh yeah, I can just do this and that. You are locked down to a certain point. Okay. But the cool thing about it is once your students are ready, they take the assessment, they get the feedback, you understand where they're at, and they also get certification, which is a great thing because then they can add that onto their career and say, hey, look, I'm looking at a job, I'm Google certified. And that is a really big step for them. And then they can move on to Microsoft certifications, Adobe certification, Final Cut, and so forth. So with that, I know they told me the minute, so I'm going